standing in front of a giant brain today. I'm standing next to a giant brained man.
You're kind.
Thank you. Dr. Oz is with us today. So I was feeling a little bit smart in that our trivia of the day, we do a little game backstage. Our trivia of the day question was about which organ of the body is fattiest, over 60% fat.
Oh, I know.
I know you know you're a doctor, but I was very proud that with my wild deductive skills, I figured out it was the brain.
You're so smart.
But I didn't know that.
You probably don't. None of you probably would have guessed that. Here's the thing. We think about fatty livers, right? And
Right.
not kind of a good thing because that's because you ate too much of the wrong things. But our brain is 60% fat because we're mostly fatheads needing inside of this beautiful structure fats to lubricate our brain so the nerves can talk to each other. And when we don't eat the right fats, and we'll get to that, we actually make our brain so rigid and solid we can't cope with the world around us. People get depressed from not having the right kind of fats in their brain.
So we are literally all fatheads, but we want to learn how to be good fatheads.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so you're going to take us on a walk through our brain?
A magical tour through the most amazing place you ever thought of, and it happens to be inside of all of us. So take a look at the outside for a second. This is the front. So as I look towards you, it's this part of my brain.
It would be the frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe. This is what makes us human. 70,000 years ago, when our ancestors came out of Africa, this part of the brain came alive. Planning, morality. It turns out interesting, our ability to work in groups, a lot of it's here.
All in the frontal lobe,
Yeah,
wow.
all frontal. Our ability to restrain ourselves, hold ourselves back. And I tell my kids this, I'm going to tell you all, you can use this as ammo for your young ones. This part of the brain doesn't mature until you're in your mid-20s.
Oh.
That's why...
I only vaguely remember that time, but boy, is that true.
That's why young people get into car accidents, they get hooked on drugs. Whenever I talk to a person who started smoking before age 20, before this was mature, it's
Right.
always harder to stop than someone who started smoking after age 20.
Wow.
Because once this matures, and that's why we hold
You
people
have
back.
better reasoning skills.
Yes, and self-restraint is a big part of being human. So again, this part of the brain massively grew to allow us to look in each other's eyes
Wow.
and connect,
Aw.
right? This is for empathy, intimacy, all that stuff. However, what makes it tick are these little babies. These are neurons. Now,
These are neurons.
Right, so that little, looks like a smiley face here, but this is a neuron with a long tube that connects one nerve to another. Now, here's the thing. These have to be coated. They're like electrical wires. When you don't have the right coating on electrical wires, you get short circuits. Same thing happens in our brain. The fat is important to coat these.
That's why it matters if you have good fat or the wrong kind of fat, because you can seize these up,
Yes,
essentially.
Yeah, and they get, if you eat saturated fats, the wrong kinds, they become so rigid they can't deal with each other. If they're
Wow.
flexible fats, which is what omega-3 fats are, for example, these nerves can talk more readily, which means you can cope better with life. Women, when they get pregnant, the baby loves omega-3s because their fats, in their brain is really important. They suck the omega-3s out of you. So these babies...
So a pregnant woman would want to eat a lot of food like salmon that's rich in omega-3s.
And what happens when they don't?
Dumb baby, dumb mommy, maybe both?
Unfortunately, you get a child whose brain isn't where it could be.
No, really?
But the child will take his mother's omega-3s. The mother will give it up. Mother sacrifice always. But the mother gets depressed. Postpartum depression.
Sure, postpartum
It's linked to
depression.
that. They actually did a study giving women who are depressed after having a baby omega-3s, and these neurons got better.
They come electric, they come
Exactly.
back. Wow, that's fascinating.
So let's go inside.
It really is true. You are what you eat when it comes to your health, right?
Completely. You want to fix healthcare in America? Don't get sick.
That's
and these
right.
are techniques that let you live to your fullest, and we save the government so much money. We don't have to pick a system. They'll all work well for us.
Because we'll all be alive and healthy.
All right, come on in.
Where are we
So
going?
let's get a tour. Now, in here, you've got two sides to the brain, right? The right brain and the left brain. This is the corpus callosum. It's this big, beautiful interstate that connects the left and the right brain.
I love that, the interstate.
Yes, it's perfect. It looks like one. And these are really thick fibers. When you're a medical student, you're sort of shocked by how big this is. But this allows us to learn two languages. Musical instruments are on one part, language on the other part. So our brain, when we multitask, goes back and forth. And this gets like a muscle. It gets stronger and stronger. Wow. Now, right behind this is the limbic system, the reptilian system of the brain.
Right.
That's where the hippocampus is. Hippocampus stands for seahorse. Our memories are stored there. When we're stressed out, we can't store memories. That's why kids, for example, who are in school and don't feel safe, don't learn. Women, when they don't feel safe, can't process information. So that old ancient system, not the newfangled one that we talked about that makes us human, the old part has to work well. And all of our fears come from in here, which we'll get back to.
Is this any stronger when you're young versus when you're old? Do you have the same capabilities? Or no?
It's a great question because in young children, they can use this connection much more facilely. It's easier for them to use both sides of the brain. As we get older, we are forced to pick one or the other. The beauty is we can always learn. It just takes a different type of activity. But as long as this is intact, the two brains can work together, and we should use both of our brains, not just our accounting left brain or our artistic right brain. If you use them both, you get magical things. And people really creative have learned how to use both sides of the brain.
Right.
So as you walk through here, you'll see you can get all kinds of short circuits in here that causes epilepsy. All of these neurons can function differently. But let me walk you out to the back here.
Okay.
Because over here, a lot of action happens. Here you have the temporal lobe, that's hearing.
Gotcha.
Up here's eyesight, the very back of your brain.
Oh, right there, yeah.
And at the bottom here, the cerebellum, which is for balance. That's right in the back of your head here.
So these are all like motor skills.
Well, think about it. You have hearing, eyesight, and the cerebellum, and they all work, if they coordinate, to balance us.
Right.
Now, right, you can see, that's good. You can hear, that's good. But you need to use both and your cerebellum to be able to stand on one foot. Now, you try this. Lift on one foot. Now, close your eye. That's hard.
Scary.
That's hard. You close your eyes. You should do this at home, too. It's an exercise. You begin to realize that your eyesight, which is your best sense,
Right.
is a unique human process. Interestingly, dogs, we talked about both have pets, right? Dogs don't use their eyesight as much as they use their smell and their hearing.
Smell is the first, right,
Yes.
for them?
So
Right.
we see, then we hear, then we smell. Dogs smell, hear,
then see.
So when we try to talk to dogs like they're humans, they don't get it.
They don't get it.
And they don't get us either because we're opposites. So we have to work like we're dogs to communicate with dogs.
Good thing I always smell like good food. That's why my dog loves me.
There's lots of reasons. They love you. All right, now, let me talk about some of the bad things that happen to the brain. Now, you're all hopefully amazed as I was when I was in medical school and even today learning about the brain. But bad stuff happens. And, of course, one of the biggest issues is dementia. Now, dementia happens for a couple reasons. It happens because you have strokes. And it happens because you get Alzheimer's. So let's talk about strokes and how they can be devastating. So these are our blood vessels. They're massive blood vessels that bring nutrients, sustaining nutrients to the brain. If the pressure in your body is too high, you get cracks and it's like a tube that bursts. And look up here. You see the blood came out of the blood vessel here?
Right.
When your blood spills outside these blood vessels, you get all kinds of changes, toxic changes, because the blood is very dangerous to cells unless it's in the right place. So it kills the cells.
Right.
These are called bleeds. You can get it from falling down and hitting your head. You can get it from high blood pressure. It's one of the reasons high blood pressure is the number one cause of aging of all. It dwarfs all the other ones as a cause of aging.
Frightening.
Right.
But knowledge is power, right? If you know what to look for and how to prevent it, right?
So someone today who would have had a stroke from a bleed won't because they watched you and they realized if they can drop their blood pressure, they won't have the problem. That's how powerful. Now, sometimes you're born with an abnormality. And bad luck happens in medicine. Everyone's dealt a hand.
A hand.
And this is called a little aneurysm. So the blood vessel is supposed to look like this, but you see how this, like an inner tube, is a little outpouching here?
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be here. This becomes very thin, and it's prone to rupturing. So this can sometimes...
So it's like a little time bomb, really.
Yeah, and young women in particular will sometimes fall prey to this. When young people have strokes, I always worry they had one of these small aneurysms. But the beauty today is we can either clip it like this and clock it off like that, or doctors can go in with the stents and actually fill it in and coil it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that great? So just from your groin, as long as we know. So if you have the worst headache you've ever had, first thing you should think of is, do I have an aneurysm?
Check for an aneurysm.
First thing. And it's not like a little headache. It's the worst headache ever. Finally, the most common one is you get a blockage inside of an artery. And when you have a blockage inside of an artery, it all of a sudden suffocates this tissue that's supposed to be fed with it. And it's like someone, boom, punched the artery.
Punched a hole
in your brain.
Head, literally.
And,
wow.
you get small ones. And if that same blockage happens here, you lose this entire side of the brain. So all of these are scary unless you realize they empower you. Because now that you know that this could happen, you know you can prevent this. Because this doesn't happen over decades and decades. Something happens over a couple days that suddenly causes this plaque to rupture and cause the problem.
Okay.
Now, let me show you what dementia looks like.
Come over here.
Good. So, in that picture there, I showed a healthy brain. But next to it, I put a picture of a brain that's shriveled up. So they took a beautiful plum and made it into a prune. And that shriveled up brain is severe Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's, as opposed to what I just showed you, which is little strokes causing dementia, Alzheimer's is when the power lines just shrink up so much they can't convey information. That brain, the beautiful brain we just were in, is be a tiny fraction of that. And when that happens, of course, first you forget second grade, then you don't remember what happened in elementary school, then it slowly grows on you, and the clues are invisible to you as the patient oftentimes. So these are all issues we can address to a major extent through food. Good fats, omega-3 fats, because they're flexible,
Yep.
right? The cold water fish or mackerel and sardines, the fats have to be fairly liquidy, otherwise they freeze in the cold.
Right.
So when you put them in your brain, we get to make our brains so much more flexible we can cope with the world outside of us. So omega-3 fats, you only need one serving a week, but it tastes so darn good, make more
When
of
I
it.
was a little girl, my grandpa lived with us, and we had a sardine sandwich pretty much every day. We love sardines. I love sardines.
I do.
It was my favorite.
And
I wasn't popular in kindergarten, but I was very happy.
Why don't we eat more sardines?
I don't know. I don't know. I love them. I like salty fish. So
Yeah, our
I'm down.
anchovies, all that. People ask the restaurants to take them off their food. I take
No,
them.
no,
won't.
I take extra.
So, leafy green vegetables, one of the reasons I love it is it's got a lot of the B vitamins, which is important for the metabolism of the brain. Pumpkin seeds have magnesium. 80%, 4 out of 5 Americans are deficient in magnesium. It helps the individual cells work better.
Just a little handful of pepitas.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Papitas. So,
Papitas.
that's the food. Now, but with regard to food, there's more than just how you eat, choose it, it's how you eat it too. So most people eat with their right hand.
That's
I want
true, because
everyone,
most people are dominantly right-handed. Yeah.
I want to start eating with our left hand. Exercise the other side of your brain. Remember we talked about the two sides?
Wow.
In surgery, when you get accepted, any of you going into medicine, when you get into surgery, they force you to shave with your opposite hand. And the reason is they want you to cut yourself before you cut the patient.
Right.
Because you're going to have to operate with your left hand. So it's very important for folks to exercise both. So start eating. Blueberries
So
are great
surgeons
anyway.
have to be ambidextrous for surgery.
Yes, because if the problem is not here but here, you can't just go to the other side of the table. You got to use your other hand.
Wow.
So we learn to tie your knots, tie your
That's
shoelaces.
so cool. I love knowing that, though.
If you don't want to do that, what hand? Are you right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
All right, left-handed. Catch left hand.
Oh, I didn't.
Okay,
I'll
left-handed,
try.
left-handed, left-handed.
Good.
One more left-handed, left-handed.
Okay.
And then after,
Never mind.
and after a while, you'll be juggling like this.
Oh, show off.
All right, one last little idea. Yeah, I want to leave you on a really good note.
Okay.
And I want to make this clear, everybody. You have so much power over things like Alzheimer's, and medicine, doctors
Right.
like me, are within a decade of curing these problems, I believe in my heart. Just stay with us here.
I
You don't-
really believe that, too.
Yeah.
I go to the Parkinson's fundraiser every year
Oh,
with the
you-
Michael
good.
J. Fox Foundation.
Good.
It's all so related, right? All of the research.
Very much.
It's so positive how fast it's moving
Just
right now.
stay healthy enough that we can catch you.
Right.
I'll leave you with the best of all, wine. Women get one. You only get one. I get two because my stomach digests my
Not
wine.
fair.
What men have that hormone you know about.
I'm glad I get one.
But it turns
no,
out-
seriously, is red wine good for you?
No, red wine is especially good for you, but all alcohol is in moderation.
In
One-
moderation.
Right.
In moderation.
But it especially helps your brain. You know why?
Why?
Because you're sitting with people that you care about, talking
Aw.
about stuff, doing over wine. If you have it for breakfast, it doesn't count.
Cheers.